Hi everyone, I'm Annalisa from C.A.C. Global Solutions. I'm here with Brett for another episode of our podcast, Aviation Perspectives with C.A.C. And today we have a very special guest. We are going to talk with the Executive Chairman and CEO of the Aircraft Registry of Aruba, Mr. Jorge Colindres. Mr. Colindres, welcome. And thank you very much for your time and for the possibility to have this meeting today.
Thank you, Annalisa. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for having me and your fantastic online publication and YouTube channel. I'm delighted to be able to offer some insights about what we do in aviation in Aruba, and also as well as other countries that we also manage under our family of group of registries.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
having me.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you. I would like to ask you, how did you start in aviation? I always ask this question because I'm also very curious about people's background. How did you start?
Uh, well, it's a very long story, but I will try to make it very short. I understand time is an essence, and I can continue telling me about the beautiful story. But it just happened that I was the assistant naval attaché of the Embassy of Honduras in Washington, and a gentleman by the name of Wayne Helmer, which he was one of the largest aircraft brokers in the world, happened to be married to a lady that was from a Honduran descent. So he contacted us to enable to be able for her to regain her Honduran citizenship. And we became friends. And then one day he asked me if I wanted to learn aviation. I told him I'm a military man, I'm a naval officer. I don't know anything about aviation, but to ride on the plane as a passenger. And he says, "Don't worry. If you listen to me, you're gonna do fine. Just take the opportunity." So to make the story short, I seized the opportunity. I listened to him, and I started internship with him at his office in Key Largo. He used to live in a retired community for very wealthy Americans called Ocean Reef in Key Largo. So I started commuting to Key Largo to learn aviation, and he taught me aviation very well, but no salary. I was only an intern. So it was one of those opportunities that I took a lot of risk because I already had a family, a big family.
Oh,
And of course, my wife told me, "You're crazy, blah, blah, blah. You cannot, go for an adventure while you have a career." But to be honest, he sounded very interesting. And aviation, I say, well, ships, airplanes, one floats, the other one fly, cannot be that big of a difference. Um, so basically, I started internship and for 2 years. And after a period of 2 years, he told me, "Chief, you ready?" And he gave me my first client, which is by the name of Oscar Wyatt. Mr. Wyatt, it's a very famous oil tycoon in the U.S., and he used to own 11 refineries and the oil pipe all the way from Texas to Alaska
wow.
under the company that he founded called Coastal Oil. So we became friends with Oscar, started trading planes, doing registration, and then we launched the first aircraft registry, which was Honduras Aircraft Registry.
Oh,
And so those were the beginnings. So basically, we got into a program which is called Food for the Poor of the UN, and we've been bringing neutral registry planes under the UN umbrella from Atlanta all the way to Rwanda and Angola during the genocide and during the war with
oh,
food
wow.
for Africa. That was my first venture into the aircraft registry. After that, we got a contract with NATO, and we were doing all the refueling of NATO fighters in the air in Europe with a family by the name of Omega Air, the Machiavelli brothers, with 707 tankers registered in Honduras.
Mm.
So those were the initial times of my aviation career. And one thing led to another. One day I met a young senator from Aruba at a presidential inauguration in Honduras. He was maybe early 20s. We became friends, and after a number of years, he say, "Hey, Jorge, now I'm the Deputy Prime Minister of Aruba and Minister of Transportation. Why don't you develop in Aruba what you have developed in Honduras?"
Wow.
Very
I came to
interesting.
Aruba. I came to Aruba, and we executed a contract under one condition. In those days, Aruba. Well, I don't know if you're aware, but the U.S. FAA used to have a program which they will audit countries around the world, which had airlines flying into the U.S. airspace
Right.
after the accident that happened of Air Florida near Potomac, in the Potomac River near Washington, D.C. So they were going and assessing countries around the world to make sure that they comply with minimum ICAO standards of safety oversight. In those days, Aruba has been downgraded from Cat 1 to Cat 3, which means you don't qualify to enter U.S. airspace. And while I was signing the contract with Aruba, I made a promise to the government. As long as I am managing the Registry of Aruba, I will make sure that Aruba will always be Cat 1, which Cat 1 is the highest rating that you can achieve within the FAA. So to make the story short, I hired some retired FAA gentlemen, brought them to Aruba, and within 6 months, Aruba was back into Category 1.
Wow.
That's very nice.
So yes, so since then, I kept my promise, and Aruba has remained Category 1, and we have one of the highest, ICAO standards in the world, and it's very well regarded, very well respected. So it's been almost 30 years. November we're gonna have our 30 years anniversary, which I hope you two can join us at our party in Dubai during the Dubai Air Show on November 19th.
Wow.
Very nice.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll be glad that we'll send you the invitation. So you guys, if you guys are in Dubai, we honor to have you.
Wow.
So
That
you
would
can
be
celebrate
great.
together.
Very nice. Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you. That would be great.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so
good.
30 years. So it must have been around like 1995. I read
Yes.
some on the website. Yeah.
Yes, it was
So,
exactly. Please.
I'm curious. So, like Annalisa mentioned, we've read that 1995 was basically when the registry started, but we're trying to understand the relationship between the DCA, the Department of Civil Aviation, and the registry, because the Department, the DCA, it looks like they were established in the early 80s.
Correct.
Right. So how does that work? What is the relationship?
Okay, it's simple and complex at the same time. I will try to explain it to you in layman's words. Basically, every country, Aruba is an autonomous state within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, so it's part of Holland. Citizenships in Aruba, they're Dutch. They are Aruban by birth, but their nationality is European. So they are Dutch. So the representative of all the Dutch territories around the world before ICAO, which is the International Civil Aviation Organization, is the Dutch Kingdom.
Right.
So the Dutch Kingdom has the statutory responsibility before the UN. So the fact that Aruba in 1986 decided to detach, because in the older days, you used to have something they called the ABCs, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, which used to form the Dutch Antilles.
Right.
Within the Dutch Antilles, because Aruba was flourishing in tourism and it was flourishing in refining of oil, they decided to detach from the Union of the Dutch Antilles. And they got awarded something they call a status aparte. It means separate status from the Antilles, not from Holland. So they got an autonomy from the other 3 islands, and they became their own autonomous territory. So during their sort of like autonomy constitution, civil aviation was given to Aruba. Instead of being part of Holland, so no, you can have your own civil aviation authority. And that's the birth of the Civil Aviation Authority of Aruba, because they were receiving a lot of tourism from the US and Canada. I mean, the majority of the trade for tourism come from North America. I mean, I think there is equal number of Canadians and Americans visiting Aruba as well. So based on that, they had their Civil Aviation Authority form. When we arrived to Aruba, because it's a national pandemic, I will say, countries, they don't like to invest on civil aviation authorities because the majority of the politicians are very optical. They want to see houses being built, roads being built, anything that is infrastructure. But they most of them, they don't believe that you need to invest on regulations and requirements. And paper is as important as making a road, because basically those are your framework that you can regulate an important mode of transportation, which is especially aviation. So when we arrived in Aruba, the Department of Civil Aviation, not that was neglected, but it wasn't a priority for the government. So I already have an idea how Honduras was working as an aircraft registry, and I told the government, listen, why don't we do a sort of contract which is called PPP, a public-private partnership, whereby I will make the Civil Aviation Authority of Aruba efficient, because we are not in the business of registering aircraft. We're in the business of creating experience for the end user. And if you have good service, good regulation, good reputation, everything translates into positive. And your people working in the Civil Aviation Authority will develop a mentality of a service-oriented economy instead of being a bureaucrat, that you're there for a check. So the system worked very well. Aruba grew until we became one of the biggest aviation countries in the world, of the offshore islands. Well regarded, well respected. We have pioneered everything that exists among the offshore business has been pioneered in Aruba.
Wow.
And tested and now improved, because we have matured. We have learned a lot of things that we can do and we cannot do in Aruba, because the fact that Aruba is part of Holland, it's not an independent country. So you need to consult sometimes with Big Brother. You need to take in consideration that when you try to do something, it's for the greater good of the Dutch kingdom, not only for one particular country or territory as well. So that is a positive and a negative. A negative because it takes a long time. Not like an independent country that you deal with 1-2 persons and they can take the decision on the spot, which is the case of San Marino. San Marino being the oldest republic in the world, we can take decisions very quickly, very fast, and make changes.
So that brings me to think of a question with regard to regulation. Aruba has its own civil aviation regulation. Does that have to be approved by the Netherlands government, or are you free to make those changes amongst the state itself?
No, we are free to make the changes. It doesn't have to be approved, because the Netherlands gave, under their autonomy constitution, free will, so they can enact their own requirements. But having said that, their requirements cannot be below ICAO. So ICAO sets the minimum standards. They have to be above. And the challenge basically has been because you have the local parliament in Aruba, where whatever you need to do a major regulatory change on the Civil Aviation Act, you have to go into parliament. As any law, I mean, Canada, US, it takes months or years, because, like I said, it's not a priority. I mean, there's other priorities for the politicians. We are now trying, under the ICAO new auspices, to transform the Civil Aviation Authority into a civil aviation agency. So it will no longer be a department attached to the Ministry of Transport. It will be an autonomous standing alone authority, like Transport Canada in a way, or the UK C.A.A, which will be a public company. a public
Right.
company owned by the government, but with their own board, with their own CEO. That way they can be able to make changes in-house without the need to go into parliament. So then we will be able to do and enact laws and requirements very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
So who is auditing the Registry of Aruba? Is that the DCA? Is the ICAO comes?
Or the Netherlands?
Or the Netherlands, yeah.
Yeah. And in this case, it's not the Netherlands, it's ICAO.
Okay.
Well, for the registry is the Civil Aviation Authority, the Department of Civil Aviation. They will audit us. But to the Department of Civil Aviation is ICAO and the USFAA. The USFAA conducts audit every 5 years, every 6 years, and ICAO every 4 years, more roughly. So they come and they do a full week audit based on the requirement. But before the audits, you have something called state letters. And the state letters, ICAO will send state letters to all the states, and you have a system, online system, which is called the online framework, where all the PQs, the protocol questions are in it, and on monthly basis, every 2 monthly basis, you start feeding up how you are making progress on improving the requirements of the safety oversight of that particular state.
Right.
So when
right.
the auditors come, they already have an idea what they're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how this works though, because the actual signatory to the ICAO convention is the Netherlands.
Correct.
So is there not a responsibility to the Netherlands for conformity to the ICAO standards?
Not really, because they have transferred that conformity to Aruba when they gave them the autonomy. So the burden is on Aruba to comply with the requirements. So they transferred the responsibility. At the end of the day, the Dutch Kingdom only represents Aruba in ICAO, but the responsibility to keep the requirements up to date is Aruba.
Okay.
Sounds very much like the Isle of Man. The UK is
Yes, same.
Yeah. All right.
Same with the Isle of Man, same like Guernsey, like Jersey, like Bermuda, like Cayman, like Gibraltar. Yeah, the
Right.
same setup. Yeah.
Okay.
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 Interesting. So with that, the organization, the structure. So we mentioned the DCA and the registry. So am I to understand that there's a responsibility? You're under contract. The registry is under contract to the DCA, which is part of the Aruba government for civil aviation in Aruba. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Okay. And I was curious because the DCA, they have their own website, as does the registry. So in looking at the two, I'm trying to wrap my head exactly around how it works. Who's responsible for continuing oversight of the state safety program?
The DCA, the Department of Civil Aviation, they are responsible to maintaining the safety oversight. Basically, the way it works, we don't take any roles of the Department of Civil Aviation, any statutory roles. Anything that is statutory is their responsibility as a state agency to maintain and to oversee and control. We only act as a technical arm to market, to recommend to the Department of Civil Aviation the changes, or we do a due diligence on a particular client that needs to be enacted for registration. But the ultimate responsibility is theirs.
Okay,
It
so
cannot be delegated to any of us.
okay, so any oversight visits or anything like that of any of the agency, the organizations that have any kind of a certification under the Aruba register, the responsibility for all of that lies with the DCA.
That's correct. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Okay. So how many people work in the Aruba Aircraft Registry? How is it organized?
Basically, it's organized into a number of departments. You have the upper management, and then which includes the office of the CEO, and then the finance department, and the logistic department, and legal department, and then you have the operations department, in the technical department, and after that you have the marketing department.
Right.
So it's a typical business-minded organization.
Mhm.
Basically, nothing particular, but we do have a number of inspectors based all over the world. We have close to over 100, which are
Mhm.
based everywhere. Actually, we have, yeah, I think 2 in Canada, I
Mm.
believe. One of them just jumped ship. He's been appointed as the technical pilot in charge of operations for ICAO, in charge of
Oh,
193 countries. So it's a great honor for us, knowing that one of our guys is one of the top guys in ICAO now.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and we have another one in Montreal.
All right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about the services that you provide, the registry provides, and the business models. Um, so I was going through the website, and it looks to me like you entertain commercial AOCs potentially,
Yes.
private aircraft, corporate aircraft. What exactly? Who do you offer your service to, and what services do you offer?
Basically, the services are open to the world as long as you are not operating in sensitive parts of the world, which are no-fly zones or countries under sanctions.
Mhm.
As long as you comply with ICAO standards, you are eligible. If you don't happen to be in compliance with ICAO, then we can execute a number of documents. For instance, if you have a commercial airliner that operates, for instance, let's say in Kazakhstan. Uh, when we went to Kazakhstan, Kazakhstan didn't have any category. There was no ratings. It was banned. It was included in the EU ban list. Then the
Mhm.
airplanes were registered in Aruba for a number of reasons under an Article 83 bis of
Right.
ICAO. That way they'll be able to operate under the P4 registration and going into Europe under our oversight. But
Mhm.
those are, established programs. So that's one of the tools that we use. But if the country is an acceptable country and you are into the world media of ICAO, the 83 bis article is very easy to enact, especially as a requirement of the leasing company, because a lot of the leasing company, even if the country is in good standing with ICAO, they don't want to run the risk of the aircraft being repossessed.
Right.
Mhm.
So by having the aircraft in a neutral registry, they know they have more control. So basically, remember, all leasing companies, financial institutions, they manage their assets based on risk.
Right.
And depends on where the airplane operates, they assess the risk. So being
Mhm.
Aruba, a neutral country, a very good, well-regarded registry, signatory to Cape Town Convention, one of the
Mhm.
best countries for aircraft repossessions in the world, it makes it, more appealing to a lot of the end users to be able to use our services.
Right. Right. So I'm curious. I mean, you offer registration of private aircraft, potentially corporate, or which in my mind a corporate aircraft is a private aircraft,
Yes,
but or a commercial aircraft, and some that operate under the 83 bis. I would
yes,
suspect there are some that you don't have to operate under an 83 bis. Is that right?
yes, that's correct. 83B is only applicable for commercial airliners,
Right.
basically. Not
Right.
not for private, not for private aircraft. Like you said, private or corporate is basically the same. The way we make the distinction is because sometimes corporate aircraft, you have a corporate shuttle. Instead of
Right.
having 10 VIP seats or 19 VIP seats, you will have, 25. So
Mhm.
even though it's operated privately, it's a corporate shuttle. The companies like, for instance, oil companies that they
Mhm.
want to
Mhm.
move executives around. They
Right.
they don't want their executives to be in a highly VIP configuration, but they want to be able to transfer them in comfort.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right.
So an airplane, instead of having 50 seats, has 25, for instance.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's considered a corporate aircraft for us.
Okay.
And
I'm curious, do you have also aircraft that the owner, they're typically private aircraft, but the owners like to, when they're not being used, operate them commercially?
yes, we do. Yes. But in order for you to operate private and commercial, you need to be on an AOC.
Right.
Basically, on your manual, on your OBND, you make a distinction
Mhm.
when the airplane operates commercial, when the airplane operates private.
Right.
When you go through the inspection process of certification of the AOC, you can designate in their manuals when the airplane is not being used by the owner, it can be chartered out.
Right.
Or if it is only being chartered out, the owner designate a number of hours that he wants to use,
Mhm.
and then it's designated as a private flight because it's for the owner, not as a charter aircraft,
Right.
which is something that we developed many years ago.
Okay.
In Aruba, Aruba was the first country that ever offered an AOC for an operator based offshore.
Oh, interesting.
That
So
never existed.
with that concept, is there a requirement for, well, I suspect under ICAO or at least under the Netherlands law, there would be a requirement for that operator, the AOC holder, to have eligibility for registration within Aruba. How do they qualify for that?
Very simple. ICAO has a specific rule where you call the principal place of business. And the fact that the AOC is from Aruba and you're getting the economic authority from the ministry, your principal place of business is Aruba, where you have effective control of the operation. You need to have presence in the country. You need to have an office. You need to have post holders. So basically, you set up a formal operation in country. The difference between that and a typical AOC is because you will be able to outsource. Let's say, for instance, you are a big operator like VistaJet, as an example, and you have your OCC in Malta. You don't have to create an OCC in Aruba. You can basically outsource within your group of companies certain services. And that never existed in aviation until we develop it and we prove it. Actually, we were taken to the EASA Air Safety Committee in 2006 because the Europeans were not used to do something like that. And we proved them that safety oversight it's in place, is strong, is robust, and is well managed. And until now, we have certified between the group of registries close to, I would say, 40 AOCs, maybe, or less.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
with big
Interesting.
planes,
Yeah.
big planes, and up to now, for the grace of God, we haven't had any casualties or any accidents in 30 some years
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very good.
operating.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
means the oversight works.
Oh, for sure. So I'm curious, with the number of aircraft on the register and the different different categories, how many are there?
Now we have about 180 in Aruba.
Okay.
In total, as a group of companies, we're pushing 1,000.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have a lot. Yeah, and growing. Every day grows. Yes.
Yeah. Good to know.
Interesting. Okay.
I have a question about this domicile. Is it this process? Do you have to have it in place for a commercial AOC and also for a private?
The domicile is only applicable for private, not for commercial, because under the commercial scheme, remember you're receiving an AOC, a local AOC, which you need to get the economic authority from the ministry. Based on that, you need to form a local company, which is a normal traditional company that pays taxes, they hire people, they have employees, they have an office. So no, it's only applicable for private. Like for instance, you are a Singapore resident and you own your airplane or a Singapore company. You don't have to create an Aruba company. You can use the same ownership structure that you have in place. The only thing you need to do is to elect domicile. You domicile the foreign company in Aruba, and you have a local representative.
Right.
And that makes it very simple.
This sounds very much like San Marino.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, yes. San Marino took it for. I gave it to San Marino. Same. Yes.
Yeah, because we managed a private aircraft some years ago and it was registered in San Marino and we did exactly this domicile. So I was trying to understand if now we know where they got it from.
Well, it's my company as well. So yeah. And my son David manages the company, and Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's a family business. My son David and my daughter-in-law Lindy, they both manage the company for me in San Marino, and now we're developing a site to Gibraltar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
nice.
So you must have
Yeah.
other children for that.
We do have children for that, but I don't think we want to bring more kids into the business. We are bringing some technical experts that
Mhm.
we know for some time, and they're very good in the business. Because
Okay.
the whole dynamic has changed. There's no longer something you can call in mom and pop's business any
Mhm.
longer. It's become a very sophisticated business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I can
sure.
So
imagine.
yeah, we have become one of the largest employer of retired regulatory persons in the world. We have a lot of Transport Canada guys, FAA guys,
Uh-huh.
UK, Swiss FOCA, German LBA, everybody. We have the business model is for us to have within 4 hours of every client, one inspector, which
Okay.
no many aircraft registries can do that.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. Actually, I was a surveyor, airworthiness surveyor with the Cayman Authority, and
Okay.
I used to travel from Cayman Islands to Singapore or even Australia. You know,
Yeah.
it's a tough go for sure. But
I know.
yeah. Now with Transport Canada, I was also with Transport Canada, and there, I mean, every city you've got an office, right? So you've got your
Yes.
local offices. It's a completely different model in many different ways. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We
interesting.
just try to be able to service the client because we understand that a lot of the clients are, well, not a lot, but 100% of the clients are remote. So
Yeah.
in order for us to be able to have an effective oversight and be able to keep the quality, we need to have inspectors nearby.
Hmm.
And for instance, we have inspectors in Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, Korea, all over Europe, Africa, Middle East,
Hmm.
North America, South America, Central, Caribbean. So we got a huge pool of inspectors, and we keep investing
Hmm.
on inspectors. And we have gotten so sophisticated that we have a training manager now.
No.
Uh, and basically the technical manager supervise that everybody follows the same standard
Right. Right.
because you've been an airworthiness surveyor, you know that the standard can vary, depends on the personality of the inspector.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we have formal trainings every 2 years. We gather everybody from the world,
Mhm.
we bring it in, and everybody, one thing for all of them to meet each other and to understand everybody's mentality and
Mhm.
and put a face to a name, which is
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for them to understand what is our modus operandi and procedures, because we don't operate as a typical aircraft registry. We operate as a family. We embrace
Mhm.
everybody as a family. We have an approach of just culture.
Mhm.
Talk to us. Talk
Right.
to us. We want you to be yourself. We don't want you
Mhm.
not to be yourself. So we're very approachable, and that
Mhm.
works very well. I mean, all our surveyors can tell you, we never had an issue with a surveyor, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
everybody's transparent, everybody's professional, everybody
Yeah.
follows the training. So
Yeah. See, I have a difficult one with that because I was a technical lead at Transport Canada with a team of six inspectors, and you can sit around the same table and then walk away, and everybody still does everything different. You know, like you
yeah,
say, everyone's an individual, right?
Yeah.
absolutely,
So
absolutely,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
But
Yeah,
Yeah.
and from my perspective, from an industry professional managing aircraft, it always drove me crazy when I have inside the same authority, I have two different inspections with two different inspectors, and they are asking completely the different questions, and they report things in different ways.
Of course.
And I was always, what is happening here?
yeah,
So
I know,
I'm
I know.
very happy to hear that.
yeah,
Yeah.
consistency is
Yeah,
Well,
consistency is key, really.
yeah.
Well, we that's one of the things when I say that we invest in infrastructure, this is the infrastructure that we created. We invest on people. We invest on people. We invest on resources. If you look at our guidelines, they're very clear. They're very in plain English. Everybody can understand it.
Mhm.
It's nothing complicated. Um, and basically, one of the things that we like to do is we're doing safety conference every 2 years around the world. For
Mhm.
instance, we're gonna have a safety conference in Dubai next April, where all the AOC holders will gather.
Oh.
We're gathering every single AOC holder,
Mhm.
and there's gonna be some sponsors as far as the OEMs and other manufacturing companies
Mhm.
sponsoring the conference, because by having all the AOC holders in one room, you can exchange what is important to them instead of listen to it independently. I want this, I want that. No, bring everybody together for 3 days, talk
Right.
to us. And you don't see that of any other civil aviation authority or registry, because they're mostly are in the business of registering planes and certifying planes. This is not our business. That's our job.
Right.
Our business basically is creating experiences. If we
Mhm.
do a good job for the owner, we do a good job for the industry, people
Yeah.
will like us.
Right. Right. And the business
And,
just follows that.
Yeah.
absolutely, and it basically come from something that my dad told me when I left the Navy. He told me, son, now you're gonna go to the working world. Okay, remember, people does business with people they like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so
And,
true. Yeah, for sure.
and that's something, that's a motto. We always follow that, and we try to translate this to everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, we have employees for 30 some years working for us.
Mhm. Mhm.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
it's a bit of a balancing act too. I find. I mean, as a regulator, you've got to ensure conformance. You got to ensure compliance. But at the same
Yes.
time, I've worked with some inspectors that are just hard-fisted policemen, but
Yes.
they're not the popular ones. And if you're a popular one, people tend to think maybe you're not doing your job. But
Right.
I personally think there's a good balance, or you can strike a good balance, and you can be likable and do business with people and still get them to comply,
I
So,
agree with you 100%. That's exactly what we do. And I can tell you, we have issued large fines, and we have grounded a lot of planes, and we have not punished, I don't want to say punished, but we have, corrected a lot of operators. And at the end of the day, they're thankful.
yeah,
And if you're not a fit, you're not a fit.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
you're not gonna fit anywhere. If you're not a fit with us, you're not gonna be a fit with the FAA. You're gonna end up getting in trouble regardless.
somewhere,
So
wherever
we
you
have a
go.
way of wherever you go. And a lot of operators, they always like to push the envelope. Everybody thinks they're clever than the inspector or the authority, or just more clever than their friends.
Mhm.
And those are the people that learn the hard lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
I find for the most part in this type of register, people tend to want to be compliant and do what they're supposed to do. But like you say, there's always somebody that's trying to skirt issues, right?
yes,
Mm.
So,
yes, yeah,
yeah.
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 We're very jealous about who comes into the business. We are very strict. We tell people very upfront, just because you come into Aruba or San Marino, don't think that you're going to an unknown world where just by paying a fee, you're gonna do whatever
Mm.
you want. I'm sorry, no. I mean, for something, to be honest, San Marino has 98% work compliance.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, we're one of the highest countries in the world, in the top five. Aruba's in the top 10.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
I mean, we're not interested for cowboys.
Yeah.
No, no.
If you're a serious operator, we're here for you. We will help you. We will work together. There's always issues. That
Mhm.
Mhm.
doesn't mean you cannot, work through issues, but don't try to think that you're smarter than anybody else, because we don't want to get in trouble, and we're not interested in your troubles.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's one thing I really like about some of the offshore, well, most of the offshore registers, as opposed to Transport Canada. Transport Canada, we were stuck with who we had because
Yeah.
you're the local authority. Whereas with an offshore authority, it's very much a choice. You don't have to let people onto your register, right? So
Exactly. exactly.
I like and appreciate that.
No, I like.
Well, yeah. No, and you have worked with a great guy, Richard. I mean, Richard is a really
Mhm.
dear friend, Richard Smith.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
he's
sure.
a fantastic guy, you know. I mean, what can I say? You know, he's one of those guys that you see him and he's a big teddy bear, you want to hug him. You know, he's a total
Well,
gentle.
yeah, but you know, I've worked with Richard for a little better than 11 years now, and like you say, I see a lot in him. You know, he's fair. He's all about helping people out, but at the same time, if you're trying to do something that's not right, then he's not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. No,
yeah,
I agree
Yeah.
with you.
that's
You
the
know,
way it should be. Yeah.
yeah. No, and I think, you know, um, ICAO and some of the other administrations, when they do audit us, they know we're serious. They know we mean business. They know that nobody's gonna come and try to buy a certificate from us. I mean,
Yeah.
for a reason, we have the fleet of one of the most sophisticated aircraft in the world, and somebody that has an airplane which is worth 50, 60, 80, 90, 100. We had a plane that was worth 500 millions. They're not going to come to a
Wow.
registry because you're buying and they're working a certificate for $1,000. So it's nonsense. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
come to us because of something, because we're respectable, you know, we offer service. We're
Mhm.
very good. We're very fast, you know, because
Mhm.
we have the resources to be fast.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So that's why they come to us,
I,
basically.
I'm I'm curious, and this is just my ignorance, but the systems, do you have online systems for managing the applications and such, or are they still paper? You get a form and you fill it out and it's submitted.
Um, you know, you're a surveyor. Uh, Aviation is paper, it's forms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
but we do have transition. Yeah, we do have automated system. We developed a system called ARMS, Aircraft
Mhm.
Registration Management System, which is an in-house system that we developed, which is used by basically all our operator, whether private or commercial as well.
Okay.
Applications are online, hyperlink, everything. Now we are launching a new system which is going to be driven by AI,
Mhm.
Okay.
because the way the new system, actually the first launch customer or the first launch racer will be San Marino, because it's being developed in San Marino. San Marino
Mhm.
will be the first, Aruba will be the second, and Gibraltar third. And the way it works is that once you access the system through the online framework, our
Mhm.
proprietary online framework, you can fill the forms, you can track manuals with AI, because all the requirements, the civil aviation requirements, civil aviation regulation, and notices will be fed into the AI system. And you're filling a
Mhm.
form, and you can ask AI, you know, I'm not sure about this form, how to fill it, and the AI will take over and help you out.
Oh,
So
Very
nice.
interesting.
yeah, the system should be ready, I would say, towards the mid next year,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
then we'll roll over slowly to other registries. But we do use Centric also as well for commercials,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is a UK online service that we use to manage commercial AOC holders, which is very good, because instead of having paperwork or emails back and forth that you need to
Mhm.
make a folder and you need to remember what the folder says. No, in the centric system, everybody has access. If you go on vacation, whoever takes over the project got all the notes of the inspector, got all the notes of the operator. They have a full traceability how they can continue with the project.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a few questions about the structure of an operator. I went through the brochure and I went through the website. So I'm pleased to see that you guys don't have a requirement for a CAM organization. So would you spend a few words on this, and how does it work? Do you need a reference person inside the operator? I'm talking more about private, because a commercial AOC is more understandable, is more structured.
Yes.
We'll understand that, but it's the private realm that is always a little foggy.
You can do it two ways, okay? You can subcontract a camo,
Hmm.
and have that camo just, you know, follow the maintenance program and give you the service. Or you can subcontract, or you can have your own camo in-house. We have both. We have operators that have their own camo people, or they subcontract with camo company which are approved by us.
Okay.
So it's basically not complicated at all. Very simple.
When you say they have their own camo approved by you, so does the registry issue a camo approval?
Yes, we do. For instance, I will give you an example. Conlux, which is a big operator, and they operate very heavy aircraft. They do have their own camo in house because they don't only operate Aruba, they operate Aruba, Malta, I think Kazakhstan as well. And maybe one or two in San Marino. So maybe they operate in 4 different registries. So they have their own camo in house, and all their camo have several approvals.
Right. But if for instance, I have my own aircraft and I register it in Aruba, I don't have to have a camo, right?
No, you don't have to. You can subcontract.
But you do have to either have a camo or you have to have arrangements with the camo for continuing airworthiness.
Correct. You have to present us a contract. A contract with a camo. Yes.
Okay. So it can't be just an engineer. Where I'm thinking about is where you have, for instance, a leasing company with an aircraft that's in transition.
Right.
They all typically have their own technical experts that follow the aircraft. Would that person qualify, or do they still have to have an arrangement with the camo?
No, that person will qualify because that's leases between leases, and that's a straightforward program. Basically, the camo will apply to a single operator that if you don't have a camo in-house, you will just get a contract camo company that will help you with tracking the maintenance and so on, or have your own in-house. But airliners, leases between leases or aircraft in transition, no, you can have your mechanic do this. As long as the mechanic has a valid Aruba license, you can do it. Yeah.
Okay, a valid Aruba license. So I'm just, again, thinking about a large lessor that has an aircraft coming on through transition.
Right.
They have an engineer, an FAA licensed engineer that's
Right.
managing the aircraft. So would he have to obtain an Aruba
Yes.
validation? Right.
Yes, he has to. Yes, yeah, he will. Yes, yeah. Actually, in the older days when there was no camo, I'm talking maybe, camo was just beginning 20 years ago. Everybody had an engineer on board with
Right.
with the validation.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah. Let's say you are you're ferrying an airplane from Indonesia to the next operator, and the airplane will go to Turkey for some maintenance. Then basically the engineer will do all the sign off based on their qualifications and the ratings, but they do need to hold the Aruban validation before they can do any sign off.
Okay, so it won't be the maintenance organization signing up, releasing the aircraft.
Could be also the maintenance organization. If they don't want their own engineer and the engineer is acting as sole supervision, they validate the maintenance organization, and they can do it 2 ways. We have close to 200 to 300 maintenance organizations already pre-approved. A lot of them, they don't need approval. For instance, if you are a maintenance organization from Singapore, Hong Kong, and the UAE, we have an equivalency agreement between the 4 states that you don't need any approvals to get maintenance there. So they're authorized de facto to sign up based on the agreement. But let's say you are in a remote location where there is no maintenance organization, your engineer, as long as he holds an Aruba validation, they can do the sign off to ferry the aircraft to the MRO for service.
Okay, so I'm somewhat familiar with some of the validation processes of other regulators. Are there restrictions or limitations on the validation of the license, like of the tasks?
Not really, as long as remember we will validate your privilege.
Right.
So the issue and holder of the license is the one responsible. We're just validating something that, let's say you have an FAA A&P license. There's not much restriction on the A&P license, but what airplanes you can service. So we will validate face value.
Okay.
You cannot exceed your
Right.
privilege,
Right.
but you
right.
can exercise the privilege you have in place.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I find that this is one aspect I've found interesting with some of the offshore registers because the way I'm understanding it here, and correct me if I'm wrong, my Transport Canada license allows me to do many more tasks than, say, an equivalent EASA license. So
Right.
if we've got two engineers, myself and an EASA gentleman, I may be, if both of our licenses are validated, I may be able to perform more tasks than that person based on the license that I've been issued.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, the yes engineer has no job with you.
Yeah, but the point is that Transport Canada is still responsible for your license.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
yes, and well, they're responsible. I'm responsible to Transport Canada to maintain my license.
Yeah.
And the validation only remains valid so long as the primary
Your license is
the host
valid.
license is
Exactly.
valid.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
But as
Exactly.
far as oversight goes, Transport Canada won't be inspecting an Aruban aircraft for
No,
compliance.
it's you based on your validation based on the license.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, when you're inspecting an Aruba aircraft, based on your validation, you are responsible to Aruba, and Aruba is responsible to making sure that you are qualified to perform your privilege.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And so that would be part of the oversight aspect of the
Correct.
DCA. Right.
Yeah, because before we validate, we always do license. It's an ICAO standard. You need to do license verification when
Right.
you deal with commercial airliners. Not with private, but commercial. You have to do license verification
Mhm.
Right.
because any license can be revoked, any license can be suspended.
Right.
I mean, there's no way for an offshore registry to know which one is valid unless you do license verification.
Right,
Right.
right. But with a commercial operator, I would think it'd be much simpler though, because first of all, commercial operations all have to be maintained by an organization. The organization has to issue an authorization to their individuals, and for that,
Correct.
they've got to have those records of license on file.
Yeah.
So the validation process would be much more simplified.
Yes, I know, but unfortunately, it's an ICAO standard that you have to
Mhm.
verify. We have to contact Transport Canada or the FAA. FAA is easier because it's online.
Mhm.
You go into the FAA system, you verify the license, you get the results right away. With Canada, you actually have you need to contact. You need to actually send a letter. UK is the worst. UK is horrendous because you actually need to send an email, and the person that is validated has to go to the UK CAA, pay their fee before they can respond to us.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, as far as validations goes, and I'm sorry, I know we're going on a little bit of a tangent here, but
That's
I
fine.
find it interesting. As far as validations go, do you validate any ICAO based AME license, or is it only certain ones that you'll validate?
No, we validate any ICAO member states as long as you're in compliance. There are some ICAO member states that are not in compliance. And you go to the ICAO US Hub and you can see who's not in compliance, who's in compliance. There is a chart. Basically, that chart tell you, your percentage on the your Civil Aviation Act, your percentage on airworthiness, operations, blah blah blah. So based on that, you can attest which country is in compliance. And if you see, for instance, that the airworthiness department of a particular state is below the standards, it's discretionary. You want to take the risk or you don't want to take the risk.
Right.
Like
Well,
in case of many states around the world, that they will not get a validation. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, like you say, ultimately the liability falls on the Aruba once you validate a
Correct.
license, right?
Oh yeah,
So
100%. Yes. Yes.
yeah, interesting.
Absolutely.
And this validation process is applicable also for pilots, obviously. And
Yes,
you validate
same.
only up to the privileges that they have in their license. Okay.
Yes, if a pilot has a license for multi-engine turboprop, he's not gonna get a jet validation.
Okay,
He will get,
perfect.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's and you have to also provide a number of documents. You have to provide your whether it's a first class medical or second class medical, your latest proof check. We will not accept a proof check not older than that 5 months. I mean, if you are nearly to your 6 months, you have to go back to the simulator. So it's a number of things. If you're private, it's easier. If you're commercial, it's more complex. Then you have to do also, again, license verification.
Right.
I saw an aspect on your website that I found quite interesting. That was the concept of freelance pilots.
Yes.
Because you don't see these with all of the other overseas or
No.
offshore authorities. So now my understanding was the freelance pilots, they can fly private aircraft, but you can't have a freelance pilot that fly commercially. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so a question comes to mind with transition aircraft. Technically, that's a private aircraft.
Yes.
So would it be fair to assume then that a freelance pilot can pilot a transition aircraft?
Yes, correct, because the airplane will be registered private, only for the ferry or for the positioning purpose. Yes.
Okay,
That's
so
correct.
so technically a ferry operator, there are a number of commercial ferry operators, can have all of their pilots validated as freelance pilots, and then basically they can approach any operator of an Aruba privately registered aircraft for services to fly their aircraft, assuming the validation is
Well, basically to ferry the aircraft, to position in the aircraft,
right.
not to operate the aircraft on daily basis.
Oh, really?
Because if you're freelance pilot is only for positioning of ferry planes. It's not for operating aircraft. If you are an operator, you need to fulfill a number of requirements. You have to be employed by the operator. You have to have a letter that you are working for that particular operator. The operator is the one requesting the license, not the pilot.
Okay, I'm curious. So I worked in not commercial, I'm sorry, in corporate aviation for a number of years. And for instance, we would have a Falcon 900 where we might have sometimes only two pilots. Sometimes we carry a third pilot in case something happened to the first. But if we only had the two pilots and a scheduled flight came up and one of the pilots was unable to make it, is that something that you would entertain for a freelance pilot?
Yes, we do. On a special cases, yeah, we have had operator, but always the freelance pilot is contracted under the operator's umbrella. So the operator's umbrella will contract the freelance pilot and say, this is the pilot we would like to have validated for a number of flights.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. So any of their internal requirements, policies, procedures, they would be responsible to ensure the freelance pilot was in compliance with. Right?
That's correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't see anymore. In the older days, we used to see freelance pilot being used as relief pilots. Not any longer. Basically, every single operator have their own flight crew. And whenever there is somebody unavailable, they will bring a freelance pilot, but under their umbrella. We rarely see any freelance pilot being used, for private planes. Mostly ferry flights or positioning flights.
Right.
So when it comes to private operations, a private operator, do you issue some sort of private AOC? Because we see some offshore authorities, actually, they have what they call a PFOA, private flight operations approval. Do you do that?
We don't. There's not such a thing as private operations AOCs. It's you're private or you're commercial. Very simple. If you're private, your life is easier. You spend more money, but your life is easier.
Okay, but there's, I guess what Annalise is saying is not so much a private AOC, because AOC is air operator, so that's commercial, but like a private flight operations approval, where I believe under ICAO, you only have to ensure that the operator has, for instance, a company operations manual. You don't necessarily have to approve it, right? So is this something that you don't approve the private operator? You simply accept that they have all of the arrangements in place?
It's an acceptance, only not an approval. Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an acceptance. Especially comes from from larger operators. We have a number of large operators, and they already have the manuals in place. And basically, it's an acceptance of how they will be conducting. And you will see a lot of the large operators, even though they have an operating manual to operate privately, it's very similar, especially on European operators. It's very similar to the commercial standards
Right.
because they do
Yeah.
operate. They do operate both type of aircraft, commercial and private, and it's easier for their management perspective to try to maintain the standard closer to the commercial side
Right.
as
Well,
possible, even though it's private.
there too, they're more into the NCC world and such as well, right? So it's they're
Correct.
kind
Yeah,
of
part
driven that
NCC.
way.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you got NCC and also third country of operators when it comes to corporate planes on an AOC. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
there's Europe has more, I would say, not necessarily more oversight, but they want to be assured that the operator has a certain standard. For instance, not to be critical of the FAA, but the FAA is very easy to operate on Part 91. I mean, I think it's the easiest country to operate Part 91.
Well, it's interesting operating on it. While it's not just the operation, it's the maintenance and the
Yeah, also
continuing
maintenance as
airworthiness
well.
management, because
Yeah,
we've also managed Part 91 aircraft, FAA Part 91 aircraft, and
right.
it's very, very obscure. It's
Yeah.
what we would expect, where we would expect there to be structure. Like Annalisa is from an EASA background where it's very
Right.
regimented, right? I'm from a Transport Canada background where we're not prescriptive the way EASA is, but all of the requirements are still there. I mean, everybody falls under ICAO,
Yeah,
right?
right. Exactly.
So, but the Americans' version of ICAO compliance, I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying you kind of have to look at it and see how it can be interpreted to
Yeah, and this is why we like to have these conversations. We already had a conversation with Isle of Man, Bermuda, and now with you, because we worked a lot with people coming from that FAA background, and when you try to explain to them that you have to have this in place, they are just lost. So we would like to bring this knowledge out in the world so that people can be aware and make decisions.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Actually, we just had an operator that transitioned with a Global 6500 from N register to P4 registry, and they say, "But why so regulated?" And I said, I mean, the FAA was so easy. And I said, well, it's very simple. We're interested in keeping you safe.
Yeah.
We want to keep you safe. We're not interested in. We're still faster than the FAA, the way we can certify the aircraft, but our main interest is you. We want to keep you flying. We want to keep you safe. We want you to enjoy your airplane. We don't want you to go to XYZ country and say, no, you're coming from a substandard registry and start getting category 3 SAFA finding. No, our SAFA findings are minimum among all the operators.
And this is also why we wrote a book, Introduction to Aircraft Management, just to understand, try to make people understand that it's not only a matter of requirements, but it's also a good thing for you to do certain things. It's a good thing for you to have an operations manual so that all the procedures are in there and whoever comes in can read it and can apply, and we all are on the same standards. But it has been quite a challenge.
I know. Well, with the FAA, you can go to any maintenance facility. I mean, the airworthiness never expires. We survey the aircraft every year.
Yeah.
Well,
every year.
One of the most interesting aspects of a Part 91 aircraft, I think, that Annalisa and I have come across is a lot of Part 91 operators, they have their aircraft managed by an MRO. So, but it's not any particular MRO. It's whatever MRO they drop into on that day. And they think that's continuing airworthiness management, where that particular MRO may not have full view of the entire picture behind the aircraft, right? So it's an interesting concept. But what our struggle has been is in North America, the concept of continuing airworthiness management is not real clear to a lot of people.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
it's a hard one to sell, you know. It's if you can't explain what it is or how it works or show the value, then it's difficult to get them to buy into, right?
Yeah,
No,
because there is always
it
the
does.
mentality of we've always done things like this. Why should
I
we
know.
change?
Yeah.
Well, you see, that's why there's not too many aircraft in offshore registries. There's very
Right.
few. As close Bermuda is, and Cayman, and Aruba, and any of the other offshore registries. I mean, you don't see too many Americans registering offshore because they just don't understand the system.
Mhm.
No, you're right. And actually, I've seen some aircraft, American-owned aircraft, that had come on to register as transition.
Yes.
And, you know, 6 years later, they're still on. And the only reason I can see is because the service is way beyond what they would get with the FAA, right? I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and
I agree with you.
so there's a huge value to that.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. And you know what, one more thing is, if you look from the continuous airworthiness side, especially you that you're a survey analysis from the EASA world, the only US is the only country where we will not validate an MRO unless we inspected it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
we-
not necessarily. I took I took that from your webpage, and I thought I understood it, but the way I understand it, Transport Canada wouldn't qualify either.
Yes and no. Yes and no. There is certain provisions, but we don't have an issue mostly with Transport Canada. Transport Canada is very, very straightforward. We have a better understanding of the oversight of Transport Canada on the MROs.
Mhm.
But within the US, it's a requirement. I mean, somebody applies, it's an automatically inspection. Like for instance, with the ASA, it's just a paperwork exercise. With a lot of countries, I mean, easy. I can tell you, even some Asian countries, we do just a paperwork exercise.
So I have when you speak, I have all kinds of questions that come to mind, and one of them
Please
is,
do.
so if I'm an FAA repair station or a Transport Canada MRO, AMO, and I apply for a EASA approval, I've been involved in EASA approvals for Transport Canada AMOs,
Right.
and it's a very, very simple process.
Yes.
And actually, EASA isn't even involved in it at all. It's the Transport Canada inspector that does the oversight, and EASA
Right.
accepts that oversight and will
Right.
grant the EASA approval. So now that I'm EASA approved, I no longer need, I can be accepted by Aruba. I don't have to now be validated,
No.
go through the validation process.
We have the same case with some US AMOs as well. They would like let me, for instance, the Assault Falcon in Little Rock.
Right.
Instead of using the FAA license, they will apply with the EASA MRO license. That way, it's a paper exercise.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
So I guess
it-
there's always been an issue with what they refer to as offshore AMOs. So I guess that's not really an issue.
no,
Okay. Okay.
no,
Interesting.
not an issue at all whatsoever. No.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
you've thought of all the different angles. So like you say, you probably experienced them and had to correct things over the years, I suspect.
It's always a learning curve. Always. Yeah, I mean, throughout every day we correct things probably. Every
Right.
day,
Yeah.
I mean, life. It's you always find an angle that you need to
Right.
Yeah.
reorientate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Coming to the C of A, I see it's valid for 12 months. So
Yes.
I suppose the Registry of Aruba performs a survey every year on the aircraft.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
how did you guys do during COVID?
Oh, that's a very good question. We invented the camera. Actually, we were the one of the first authorities that we did CTC with the
Okay.
inspectors. Actually, airplanes were at the AMO or the MRO, and we will basically authorize the local technical department, under their CAMO supervision, to open the airplanes, and with the camera, we were just, checking corrosion, looking at things. Sometimes even better with the naked eye.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you can zoom in.
Records were electronic. Yeah, records were electronic. So actually, we did pretty good, to be honest, because when COVID started, planes were granted only for a month and a half.
Right.
Mm.
And
Right.
then
Okay,
we were
yeah.
doing inspection with the cities with the electronic. Yeah.
Nice.
But
So
you know what I find was lost in all of that era is you mentioned earlier, it's all about relationships and knowing who you're working with and building those relationships. And to me that was completely lost because I know myself going on site with the clients and chatting with them and finding out what their
yeah,
heartaches are and stuff. That's a huge difference, a huge value.
I know. No, it is a huge balance. You're absolutely right. But in retrospective, it also was also good because we were able to trust the AMOs more.
Mhm.
AMOs took the reputation to a higher level
Mhm.
because they felt that they needed to represent and show the credibility to the authority so they can really be even more trusted than before. So
Right.
you have a lot of the AMOs that they were really on it. They were trying to demonstrate that they are repeatable, that they are credible, and actually our inspectors became even closer with the
Mhm.
AMO's technical departments and the managements.
Hmm.
So actually
Interesting.
they were basically our bouncers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you take it to a whole new level because now you have photographic evidence of what they're looking at,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Yeah.
100%. And
yeah.
I think that's what I'm telling you. The CTC was even more critical because you have evidence. It
Mhm.
wasn't anymore only a written report of the surveyor, but you have
Right.
actually you have a catalog of evidence.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
once everybody understood the system and ICAO launched the program,
Mhm.
everybody embraced it well. It's a shame
Mhm.
that it's not being used more now. Now we went
Yeah.
back to the old ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can see the value in both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There is. Actually, we are transitioning with our new AI system to be able to have every surveyor with an iPad.
Mhm.
Oh,
So he
right.
can
Okay.
be able to fill the report online and just take pictures and have
Mhm.
everything in one report.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Right.
we're we're
Yeah.
we're, we're transitioning with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so a little off topic, but I'm curious, and I don't want to forget about it. Annalise and I talked about it earlier. Digital copies of certificates and
Mm.
approvals. Uh,
hmm
do you issue paper certificates, C of A's, C of R's, all of these documents, or are you digital?
we are digital only with validations now.
Mhm.
The new system, we were going to issue certificate digitals now for C of A's and C of R's and registration license and other approvals. But we are holding that until we have the new system. So the data will, instead of trying to transmit data and lose some data, we're going to start fresh with the new system, but only on the mechanic license and validations and AMO certificate validations are digital. The rest, we
Okay.
give them a digital, but it's only valid for 30 days.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then the hard copies goes by DHL or FedEx.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's any air operator, private or commercial, it's expected they'll have hard copy certificates on board the aircraft.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We,
Okay.
we, we will dispatch email copies, valid only for 30 days. And then
Okay.
hard copies will follow. And normally they're there within a couple of days.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay. You mentioned COR, Certificate of Registration. I noticed that the validity is 3 years.
Yes.
So what happens after the 3 years?
It's just a renewal. You just file an application for renewal. Very simple. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Actually, you can request the airplane if you know that you're only gonna be for, like for instance, on transition planes.
Mhm.
We can do 6 months, 3 months, 1 year, but the maximum time is 3 years by law. So when
Okay.
the time comes, our system will send a notification to us and to the operator 60 days before.
Mhm.
So it's an automated message that comes from the system. It will notify the operator and us that we need to contact everybody to start the process of renewing the certificate of registration. And then you have to provide the same thing, the insurance, make sure there is a management agreement in play. You get a fresh management agreement to make sure it remains the same, and so on and so on.
Mhm.
It's just paperwork exercise, simple. It takes a couple hours.
So do you go
Nothing.
through the actual due diligence for the ownership at that time as well?
That's 100%. We do it yearly.
Oh,
Oh,
We do it.
okay.
We do it every year. It's a different world now. Now you never know, but people sell their plane. They don't want to say anything. I mean, we have a very strong due diligence requirements. We go all the way down to the UBO, and we come to the UBO, passport, identifications, telephone bills, proof of residency, name of their lawyer, their cell numbers. I mean, you have to go all the way down because you never know nowadays. So
Mhm.
as bureaucratic as may sound, we live in a different world, and there
Yeah.
is always somebody that wants to circumvent and be smarter than anybody else.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we try to have everything in place to make sure that we are not in violation of any sanctions, any embargoes, any restrictions. And every year we run everybody again.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, very.
Actually, we have a specific form. I think it's the A80, and that specific form you actually attesting under oath that
Mm.
the information you're providing is truthful, and if there is a change, it's the burden is on you to notify us.
Right, right.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
very.
Makes monitoring sanctioned people a lot easier, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, you know, sadly enough, it costs us more money because we have to have three different systems to do oversight on and due diligence, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Before there was you were more trustful. People will send their passport. This is my bill of sale, and it was simple.
Mhm.
Now people some clients they don't like it. They say, "Oh, they don't require me this in the U.S." I'm sorry, yeah, they do require in the U.S.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's always somebody that tries to tell you that it's not a requirement. And say, no, it's an OECD requirement. It's a US requirement. It's a European. It's a UK. It's everybody's requirement.
Yeah.
Big brother is watching whether we like it or not. So might as well comply. Don't fight it.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a question. We touched on transition aircraft a little bit here and there. I would like to know a little bit about the approach and some thoughts about how some companies are, some authorities are managing transitions, because we hear some clients, telling us that, some authorities are very structured in the way they are managing transition aircraft, like you have to have this approval and this approval and this approval, even though transition aircraft has been there for many years. So what is the Registry of Aruba approach on transition aircraft?
It's very straightforward. It's very simple. If the airplane is airworthy for a ferry flight, we transition it. I mean, if the airplane has been in the ground for 3 years, I mean, we need to have an inspection. But if the airplane is being operating under an XYZ registry, as long as the registry is not a downgraded registry, we will just do a light inspection of the aircraft and ferry the aircraft. Very, very simple.
Right. So you touched on an aircraft that potentially could be sitting for 3 years. Now, during COVID, we saw a lot of aircraft that were grounded, and with the Russian sanctions and everything, I know some aircraft are still kind of finding their way back into the mainstream system, albeit very slow and very watchful. But
sure,
with, for instance, I'll give you a scenario. If an aircraft is in, say, Thailand, and it's been parked for 2 years, and now they want to bring it onto the register so they can transition it somewhere else. You talked about validating a maintenance license. Would it be acceptable to have a validated maintenance engineer go monitor the aircraft aircraft and put it back together and get it ready, or would this be something that would be much more structured through an AMO or something?
Right. No, it has to go to an AMO. We will not.
Yeah.
A maintenance engineer can go just to give the new owner or the old owner an evaluation of the condition of the airplane, especially the airplane is just been parked and nobody has done engine runs or they haven't installed covers and engines or making sure that the airplane is being kept in a hangar or something. But no, we will require for the airplane to go into an AMO. And then we will inspect the aircraft. We'll inspect the aircraft. Yeah, and if the AMO said the airplane needs maintenance, and our guy says the maintenance done is not sufficient, you need to be able to qualify for the position or the ferry or for the standard airworthiness certificate.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. One more thing that you need to keep in mind that if the airplane is being parked and it was part of the Russian sanctions or any other sanctions, you have to do a number of clearances. First, you have to talk to the OEM to make sure the OEM is going to give you the support. Because remember, all the systems are offline. You need to talk to the OEM that manufactured the engines or the APU if it's a different manufacturer. And then you need to talk to the avionics OEM as well. And then you need to, if it is a very sensitive airplane, you need to talk to the Bureau of Enforcement and Security in the USO or OFAC to make sure you get a license. So all those things are in play. If it's a plane that is just been parked and the owner has never been subject to a sanction and is just a regular individual, which is clear, and then just a regular OEM can do the maintenance and bring it up to service, and then we come and inspect it. But it's been one of those airplanes that it was sanctioned or quasi-sanctioned or it's been in the watch list. You have to follow a due process.
Right. Okay. When you're bringing an aircraft onto the register, two questions. Do you require a notice of deregistration or non-registration? And also, what about an export certificate of airworthiness?
Okay, yes. Both are required. An airplane with deregistration cannot be registered in Aruba because that means it retains the former registration. Under the ICAO standards, an airplane can never have dual registration. So that's definitely I don't know. When it comes to the airworthiness side, depends on the export. If the airplane never had an export, if an AMO or MRO brings up to standards and they use all the release to service are completed, and we inspect and we find the airplane satisfactory, we can bring it into the registry without an export COA. But on the way out, you will not get an export COA from Aruba. You're only going to get a deregistration. In order for us to issue an export COA, the airplane needs to come with an export into Aruba.
Really? So you can't even get an export even if you have the aircraft inspected by the Aruban authority?
No, really? It's an Aruban law, and we do this because a lot of people wants to launder the COA. There's always clever people that they have an airplane that they bought somewhere in the middle of nowhere and they never got an export, and they want to resell it for more money. So say, no, bring it to this offshore registry and we can re-export it.
Okay, so I have a question. It's my understanding Aruba will accept aircraft of type certification from Transport Canada, FAA, EASA, and Brazil. So an aircraft comes onto the register with FAA type and an export COA that says that it meets FAA type. Can Aruba issue an export COA, because you see this a lot with transition aircraft, that says that the aircraft now meets EASA type?
No.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, you have to conform to the original TCDS.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, unless the aircraft have dual type certification. A lot of the newer, let's say, the new on the private aircraft, the new Bombardiers, all of them comes with EASA and FAA. Okay.
Right, and as soon as you said Bombardier, I knew where you were going because I've done a number of deliveries and they have all three laid out and you choose
Yes.
which one you want. And that's
Exactly.
perfect at delivery. But now you've got a 5-year-old aircraft that has
Yes.
STCs on it.
Yes.
That's not the same kettle of fish.
Nope. You have to follow the STC that you've been following. If you've been following FAA, you will get an FAA export. If you've been following Transport Canada, you get in Transport Canada, or
Right.
if you've been following YASA, YASA.
Well, now,
So you have to choose.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm thinking of all these different scenarios I've seen. I had an aircraft once I was exporting out of Canada, and it had a bunch of limited supplemental type certificates. They were serial number specific type, STCs, Transport Canada approved. But the aircraft was going to the US and they wouldn't accept those STCs. So I went through the exercise and I much like what Bombardier does at delivery, I had those STCs familiarized into the US. So if a person went through that exercise, would it be possible to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We had those scenarios. Yes, we did have. Actually, we just had one recently with the sister ships. There were different operators, and one has done it, and the other one was trying to scramble how to do it. And they say, "Listen, talk to this operator. We won't tell you how he did it because it's their prerogative to tell you. They're the one who invested the money and the research. So talk to the operator; they can help you out. And if they want to charge you money, it's you fix it between you guys two.
Right.
Yeah. It's possible.
Okay, interesting. So another question came to mind with the C of A's. Some authorities under the ICAO convention, they can do this. They can accept another authority's certificate of airworthiness on import of the aircraft. They can validate that for a period if they choose. Is that something that Aruba does as well?
Yes, we do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do it. Also, for instance, also keep in mind that there are other authorities also as well that they will not require an export from Aruba. For instance, with the FAA, it's a product, it's an FAA product. There is no need, they don't require you an export. So you can just export it without an export, then that's acceptable. And it happened with other authorities as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's I guess their prerogative, the FAA's prerogative on import. That, I mean, clearly the aircraft met type at one point. It was an FAA stated design.
Exactly.
It's their prerogative to view the records and make sure that it still conforms to type. But if not, they have to go through an exercise.
Yes. No, exactly. We just did an exercise with a large plane not too long ago, and it was a big bird. It was deregistered to the US, and we asked the US. So we asked the operator, "Do you guys require an export?" Because it's been out of the FAA environment for the past 10 years. And it says, "Let me check with the FAA," and the FAA, "No, the stated design is ours, so no need." We take over. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Simple.
Well, I guess really being stated design, if any STCs anybody seeks approval for an STC, they've got to have some sort of concurrence from the stated design to start with. Because
yes, and that's the beauty of the offshore registries, because remember that, let's say if you're registering an FAA, an airplane that has that conform to FAA TCDS and to the YASA system, you have to convert it. So the beauty of offshore registry is that, you can have an airplane type certified FAA, YASA, Transport Canada, and Brazil, and you choose which system you want to follow. So when you exported that airplane back to the state of design, as long as you've been conforming to the state of design, it's a simple acceptance, and I believe that's how the FAA views it. They've been following the FAA requirements, so there's no need for us to.
See, this is where I fall back into the one of the issues with the FAA Part 91 operators, because not so much the Part 91 operators, but the AMOs, that repair stations that maintain their aircraft. Because if you have an Aruba aircraft that's on the register under EASA type and it rolls into an FAA repair station, if it's an FAA stated design type aircraft,
right,
the repair stations tend to just default to, okay, it's an FAA aircraft, and they pull up the FAA ADs and off they go,
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's where we have these continuing airworthiness issues, right?
Yeah.
We have seen a few scenarios like that. Yeah. But we always when the operator basically tell us I'm going to an FAA repair station, basically tell them, listen, make sure that when the airplane goes in, you need to tell them what you've been following. Otherwise, we're gonna have maintenance done, and you're gonna have to redo it again.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's only gonna cost you more money.
Yeah.
So make sure when you bring it in, you tell them, I'm in Aruba following. This is the system that we've been following. Make sure that you're not gonna pull any FAA requirements on me, even if it is an FAA certified product.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'm pretty sure I came across it, but there is a specific release statement for maintenance with Aruba, correct?
Yes.
So even if it's an EASA accepted maintenance organization, they've got to have the Aruba release on it.
Yeah, they need to have and the CRS is specified.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. When they issue the CRS, yeah.
Okay.
Because we give them basically an approval number, and that approval number needs to be following to the CRS.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to close the interview. We can go on and on for days here with all these stories and examples that we all have. What kind of challenges do you see in the aviation industry now, and what is the vision for the future for aviation, in your opinion?
Wow, challenges is I will tell you, the world is crazy. I think that's our biggest challenge.
We noticed that.
I mean, it's too many negative news everywhere. But no, I think, honest, to be a challenge is to keep the standard. We wanna keep the standard. We wanna maintain the standard. That's our challenge every day. We understand that even though we're probably the largest offshore registry group in the world nowadays, it's easy to reach the top of the mountain, but it's difficult to maintain. If we want to be on top, we need to continue investing in human resources. We need to keep investing in making sure that our regulatory requirements they are up to date, but they exceed the standards. And then I think by having a comprehensive system approach to the regulatory requirements is helpful, because every single inspector that works for us, every single personnel across the board, understand that at the end of the day, by keeping the standard is their bread and butter. If we go below the standard, there is no bread and there is no butter. Simple as that. If we want to be, we cannot pretend to be good. We need to be good. We need to be very good. And that, honestly, that's our biggest challenge. The rest is business as usual. There is enough planes for everybody, and the work to certify into register. But I think once you have reached a certain level of quality, you want to keep it. Yeah. And what for the future? Gibraltar is for the future. Maybe Kazakhstan, maybe Monaco. Something. I can tell you, we continue growing in business. We continue to be good. We continue to innovate, because a lot of things that you will see, I mean, we have innovated. We say that we don't follow, we pioneer. And
that's how you succeed, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And the only additional challenge is I'm getting old.
Yeah.
But maybe wiser.
Well, one would think, but Annalisa, she had this misconception that more elderly people are wiser, but that's not always the case.
Well, you need to have a conversation with my wife, Annalisa. I think she concurs with you. She says boy will always be boys. Yeah. It doesn't matter the age. Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, Jorge, it was a pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge on the Aruba registry. It was a pleasure, and I hope we can replicate this in the future, because you're a wealth of knowledge. There's so much that we can extrapolate from you.
Yeah.
We can continue talking for years, and you know,
Sure.
so this is something you guys don't know, because the thing we have done in the world, my name is in the honor wall of the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, because
Wow.
having innovated this business, and also there is a fiction novel by a very famous English writer. His name is Frederick Forsyth. That in his novel The Avengers, he
Yeah.
talks about Aruba and us.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So that means that our
You're
things that we have
notorious.
done we're notorious. Exactly, we're good notorious. Put it this way.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's something that I never knew. A friend of mine told me, you're at the honor wall of the Smithsonian Museum. What are you talking about? I said, oh, cool. And he sent me a picture.
Wow.
Very interesting.
And then the same thing with the book. Some friends sent me a novel. Say, I mean, I don't read fiction novels. Well, what is this all? No. So they have marked inside the pages that this Canadian billionaire, happened to be a Canadian billionaire, had his son kidnapped, and he has come to the Aruba office in Miami and has acquired an airplane by the tail number Papa 4 Zulu Echo November, so he can have some sort of like special forces guy to go rescue his son. Say, happy them.
That's very interesting, because I managed an aircraft, or a couple different aircraft, for a Canadian billionaire that had an offspring kidnapped.
Oh.
Okay, you see, maybe he took it from them. You never know.
Could be. I don't imagine there's too many, but
writers are amazing the way they do the research. I mean, I never even imagined that we were going to be in a novel. So it's called The Avengers by Frederick Forsyth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things that we have done. So we'll leave the rest for later, okay?
Okay. Look forward to it. You have to let us know what happens in Gibraltar and elsewhere.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, Gibraltar is a done deal. We signed already 20 years with the UK government and with His Majesty government of Gibraltar. So it's done. We may be launching Gibraltar. I would say we have the UK audit by SSI probably February, and then we may launch Gibraltar during EVACE 2025. Yes.
Cool.
Wow.
So we'll keep you tuned, okay?
Yeah.
Please. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you both, and I wish you fantastic days ahead, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
All the best. Thank you, guys.
All the best.
Thank you
Bye.
for having me. Bye-bye. Take care.